Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare Rama Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama
Hare Krishna,
Rama Hare Hare
Rama,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare Hare Rama
Hare Rama,
Rama Hare
Rama,
Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare Krishna,
Hare Hare Rama
Rama,
Rama
Rama,
Hare Krishna Rama
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय Hare Krishna, this is Shama Supriya Devi Dasi from Houston, welcoming all the devotees to our Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. I thank all the devotees for joining this session and giving your very wonderful association this morning. And at the same time, I ask for forgiveness for stopping your sincere and ecstatic chanting. Thank you to each and everyone who joined this chanting session. And now we will move to our next part of our session, that is our Srila Prabhupada's lilamrta session. Before that, can I know who are all joining this morning?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I am testing my mic. Am I audible, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, thank you so much, Mataji. Sorry for interrupting. This is Preeti Vilasini Devidasi from Atlanta. Thank you so much, Sham Supriya Mataji, for a warm welcoming.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Vilasini Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the sessions and giving your very valuable association and encouraging all the devotees, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Neetu from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna, Neetu Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the sessions and giving your very sweet association this morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yeshomati Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the sessions and giving your very wonderful association this morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sham Supriya Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from Texas.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the sessions and giving your very wonderful association this morning. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. This is Shri Hari Radha from Fairfield,
Hare Krishna.
Virginia. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Gurudev.
Hare Krishna, Shri Hari Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the sessions and giving your very wonderful association this morning. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Anybody would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to all the assembled devotees. This is Shashidhar joining from Texas.
Hare Krishna, Shashidhar Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for joining the call and giving your very wonderful association this morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to all the Guru Maharajas. This is Chinmayi Vrajapriya Devidasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Chinmayi Vrajapriya Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the sessions and giving your very sweet association this morning. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I welcome all the devotees to our Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call of our Srila Prabhupada's lilamrta session. And as part of this lilamrta sessions, today we are going to hear chapter, lilamrta chapter, one second. It's chapter 49. So before handing over this call to Prabhu, I would like to read the quote for the day of Srila Prabhupada. November 4th, Radha Rani and Gopis, they are on the same status. But the Gopis know that Radha Rani is better worshipper than us. Therefore, their only business is how to take Radha Rani and join with Krishna. This is Vaikuntha understanding. They are not envious that Krishna loves Radha Rani so much. Delhi, November 4, 1973. Hare Krishna, Balaram Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for giving your very precious time and association and giving the chapter summary of lilamrta 49. So before handing over the call to you, Prabhu, I would like to hand over the call to Preeti Mataji for a brief introduction about yourself. Hare Krishna. Over to you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Sham Supriya Mataji, thank you so much. Hare Krishna, all the devotees. We are very, very happy to have our esteemed speaker here today with us. His Grace Balaram Prasad Prabhu is a disciple of His Holiness Jai Pataka Swami Maharaj. He has been practicing Bhakti Yoga for over 2 decades. He loves Harinam Sankirtan. Yeah, he loves reading and discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. So we oftentimes hear beautiful questions from him in our early morning classes. Besides these services, he is also serving as a temple priest every week. And he lives with his family in Aurora, Illinois. So we are very, very fortunate to have you with us, Balaram Prasad Prabhu. It's nice to see you, and we are waiting to hear from you. So Prabhuji will be speaking on Srila Prabhupada lilamrta, and today is chapter 49. Prabhuji, please take over the call.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for the introduction. I am very fortunate to be in this association. I had, one of the friend had referred me to Bhakti Sangha a few months ago. And then I was on and off, maybe, and then once in a while I used to log in and log out. But somehow got attracted to one of the sessions, and then I continued every day, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam. I don't come into anything else other than Srimad Bhagavatam. So somehow attracted, it was really I became an addictive completely to this Japa group, and I cannot miss the Japa. If I miss something, even one day, I feel that I'm missing something in my life. So that's how my feeling was. It was very inspiring sessions and lectures. Anyway, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak of Srila Prabhupada's lilamrta. Anyway, with all your devotees' blessings, Vaishnava's blessings, I will try to narrate on what I read so far with the chapter 49. Thank you so much. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatanitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyamadi Paschatya Deshatarane Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gauravaktranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vajalam pangam lamkayate grim yat krupata maham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Jnananandamayam Devam Nirmalam Spurika Kritim Adharam Sarvavidyanam Hayagrivam Pasme. Actually, I did not attend any of the lilamrta classes earlier, and I just went through one of them yesterday, and it's such a nice PPT presentations, and yesterday I did not do. Maybe it is okay for you, at least if I speak. Normally I do a PPT, but I did not get some time because of my work. Anyway, I will try my best to summarize on what I read and understood from the chapter 49. So the chapter entitles as Unifying ISKCON. See, as the title itself says, that how Prabhupada was unifying everyone in ISKCON, because he had so many temples and he had a dream, and not just a dream. It's not a dream, but basically his vision was to complete that 108 temples during his regime on how many years he stayed in this material world. And that matter of 10 to 11 years, he was able to establish 180 temples all over the world. And he wants to unify everyone in one umbrella under the Lord Chaitanya's umbrella, and especially ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And so that everybody will be in one umbrella and everybody will be cooperative. And I think this particular chapter gives the whole summary of how we can cooperate each other and how we can serve each other and preach Krishna consciousness and make and uplift the conditioned souls in this material world. And more preaching activities was also highlighted in this chapter. And on the top of it, the management. There was lots of management issues, and it is not an easy thing. even one person having one small business, and with his own business, even 10 few people working for him. I remember when I was a few 10, 20 years ago, I used to work for I used to supply the hotel boilers. And so when I used to go to the hotels, and you'd see the manager and then on the top of it, owner, and there are so many labor, chef, and so on, so servants, and oh my God, it's not an easy job to maintain and manage a hotel. So I was thinking about in that way, my God, that was only one hotel, but in that way, there are a group of hotels, chain of hotels. I have seen many owners I was from Bangalore. So they had many, chain of restaurants. And then one person used to manage all the chain of restaurants with managers. How beautifully they managed. It's only one person, right? Few places, but in the same place, few hotels in the same city. I was thinking, how did really Srila Prabhupada manage? It is not one place or one city. This is across the world. It's not an easy job. And there is a lot of differences. Even one person manages within the same place, same facilities, there will be a lot of differences between in the hierarchy. How can you do this? How can I do that? Why should I listen to you? These kind of issues will be everywhere. And then I was thinking, my God, this even in our own one community, say one yatra, right? I am from Naperville here, Aurora, but there is a nearest temple is in Aurora, which is Naperville. Naperville, we have a temple. We are coming with a new temple, and now we are building that new temple, constructing in a few months. In April of next year, it's going to open. And now you see how many one manager and how many people to manage. Then I'm just actually giving you the brief of what I'm talking about this chapter. Recently, I had one discussion of how Lord Lord Brahma, after his meditation, because he was born from the on the lotus flower, which was emanating from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. He appeared and he doesn't know what to do. He was searching. He was going down the stem miles together. It was not possible. And then finally he had heard that tapa, tapa, tapa. And then he started thinking, okay, I need to meditate. And finally he meditated on the Lord. And he was finally, he had a vision of the Lord in Vaikuntha. In that Vaikuntha, Lord alone, why Lord? And then one of the verses in this Bhagavatam says, he was not sitting alone. He and his, the consort goddess Lakshmi, Rama Devi, and then all other entourage. That means so many devotees were there. Why there were so many devotees? Then I was thinking, if at all, that Vaikuntha, why so many devotees? Because Krishna is, Vishnu can do anything. Just thinking about, if he just thinks he can manage everything in the world, why he has to do anything else? Why there are so many people? And it was then that chapter explains that is because the rasa, the exchanges, the mellows, and he is giving that services to many people, many devotees. And there's a whole big team of entourage that they associate each other, cooperate each other, and serve all in one umbrella, which is they're all serving for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu. And that exchanges or balos or rasas, that's what matters. And that way, everybody will be blissful. So I was thinking in that way, Lord Vishnu can manage the Vaikuntha and then the whole universe. And how Srila Prabhupada, our dear Prabhupada, sitting in Vrindavan, man, he was just chanting and doing his own duty in Radha Damodar temple. And he came out to preach in the Western world based on his instruction from his Guru Maharaj. And he came all the way and he established all over the temple, all over the world, across many temples. And now he is making one. How do I unify the whole, all the temples across the world? How can I unify in one, under one umbrella? So that's how this whole chapter boils down to. That's what I gave just, sorry, I gave some, my realizations of what I understood from this chapter as a summary. And now Prabhupada in 1975, Prabhupada, see, that was almost 2 years, right? Maybe 1977, Prabhupada passed away, disappeared from this material world. But till it was almost last days. And Prabhupada has done so much, and his only way he has to sit and do is his main intention is to preach and uplift all the souls in this as much possible in this material world, especially the planet Earth. On the top of it, his main goal was to complete the 12 cantos of Bhagavatam, right? Compiling and writing in English and print it out, and that was not an easy job. And moreover, he was hardly sleeping anymore. 2 hours a day he was sleeping, and he was dedicating so much time for writing his Srimad Bhagavatam. Many he was giving his life and soul. As Prabhupada indicated, I am serving because I took his spiritual master's instruction as life and soul, and that he took that very strongly and determined. And he made, and he understood the people of Kali Yuga, people of like us, the best way is Srimad Bhagavatam, which will definitely deliver the whole world. And why was it? Because where does that one of the questions of question of sages, it says, right? Where did the Dharma took shelter after the disappearance of Krishna? That is Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srila Prabhupada knows what was the whole summary, and then what is the real devotional service. So he focused, and then the main thing was for him to complete. He had almost completed 8 to 10 cantos, I believe, 8-9 cantos, and then he was working on it. And his intention was to complete these 12 cantos and complete it, and to so that we can all take this and deliver ourselves. That was the intention of Srila Prabhupada. But in between, so many problems in various temples popped up. And in fact, Srila Prabhupada had also created the GBC, Governing Body Commission. And he made, Mayapur was the headquarter anyway. And his intention was to, he was in Vrindavan, and he used to get so many letters and complaints from various yatras, that means various temple cities across the world. And his main intention was to see how this 108 temple can flourish. And in that way, he will be happy, everybody will be happy, and the preaching goes on very well. That was his main intention. And how Prabhupada can manage sitting one person. And in fact, Prabhupada had indicated this is not a one-man's job, and he needs support of all his disciples and so on and so forth. So that was his intention, to see how we can unite everyone in one umbrella as ISKCON and serve each other, because there were so many, not even one or two, there were so many complaints, one mail after the other. And then, in fact, some of the sannyasis come to even visit to Vrindavan and seek darshan of Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, okay, it's not just having Prabhupada darshan, but they come with a complaint. And then how to, what to, when to. This was the kind of things going on in that day, during that days. And Prabhupada he was completely into translating the books and putting together all the compilation of all the Srimad Bhagavatam. But that was not easy for him because he was so much responsibility. And then he used to tell, this is the GBC responsibility. How can I say one complaint is one sannyasi comes and then sends a letter and say, Prabhupada, this is what the issue is. What can I do? And another sannyasi sends a mail, Prabhupada, please focus on your, we request you to complete all the compilation of these 12 cantos, and so that it'll be useful for all of us in near future. So Prabhupada used to say, what can I do now? One person comes with a complaint, one person is telling this, but my focus is to do this. But this is then he used to say, this is a GBC responsibility, because he already framed the GBC in Mayapur, the chairman and so on and so forth. And we had appointed the GBC members across the regions, and how he divided even today, right? That is running so nicely. And every year there will be one meeting in Mayapur to manage and come with all this. Anybody comes with so many problems, they will have that agenda. They'll collect all the complaints, and not just the complaint, and issues and so on and so forth, so many things. And they will discuss in that annual meeting in Mayapur, and they will come up with the resolutions. And that resolution will last for the whole year. And then no more questions in between. Of course, the chairman is there to manage, to help them and support them. But the main issues, what they were facing, that has to be discussed every year in the committee, in the GBC committee. And they all discuss, they all come in that way. That should be resolved. So that was the main idea of this whole chapter of 49, and how Prabhupada was facing problems, issues, and how he handled and how he guided the various sannyasis. And everything is, Prabhupada cannot say yes to this or no to that, right? Everything is important for him. For me, I can, for one sannyasi, he will say, oh, this is right for me. But another sannyasi is that, no, this is not applicable for him. So that kind of conflicts, so many conflicts he has faced. Imagine even in one temple, in our own temple, one temple, there was a president, and there is a committee, there is so many committee members, and finance, and whatnot. It's not an easy job. We think that it's a presidential, it's like somebody say it is a tireless, and it is, I have seen in Chicago, how many, so many people came, serve as a president, and they would doing it so nicely. But after many years, they're doing nicely, but one person will pop up and say, because one person doesn't like another person, right? So in spite of doing very well, someone will pop up with some questions and complaints, and finally everything goes wrong. So, but how Prabhupada had so many various examples he gave in, and see how we can really can be done. How can we really peacefully and cooperatively can be done, and how he managed. That's the whole chapter of this unifying ISKCON. This is like an highlight. Highlight only took some time, but of what exactly is this? Give me 1 second. So one, I'll give you several examples of what was some issues and how Prabhupada came up with the solution so nicely. And then what were the problem, how many problems came in on his plate, and how he resolved it. So this is how I feel that this is the way the chapter is helping us to understand. And this is it is not just reading a chapter and understanding, but I feel this is most important for every temple, every devotee. I think we had heard out of the 48 chapters of see how Prabhupada had done so much, but this one is a real challenging chapter of how we really manage various temples with various conflicts, and how we come up with this solution, and what is the way to go forward. And whatever he has done in 1975 or 75, 76, that even till date, after how many years? After 45 years, 75 and today is like 22, right? So it is 25 plus 27, almost 47, 46, 47 years plus. It's so nicely going on with all the GBC members. It's amazingly how they conduct, and how we are all under one GBC, and how we any problems, issues, each GBC will resolve, and anything if it is not possible, it will be going to the discussion in the Mayapur every year. So he has framed such a wonderful organization that no one can point out that this is an issue. And moreover, Prabhupada had given so much insight of what has to be done in any case, and what is the resolution is to become Krishna conscious, and then become a pure devotee and go back to God. This morning we were hearing from our dear Sanatana Dharma Prabhu that what Prabhupada was giving, that back to head Godhead magazine. That means he was every month there was a back to head Godhead magazine. That is, it is a reminder to all of us looking at the book, back to Godhead, back to Godhead. Hey, you go, whatever you're doing, that's great, but make sure your goal is to go back to Godhead, go back to Godhead. So that was this Prabhupada's intention in this chapter, saying that what is this? How to be Krishna conscious. If you know the science of Krishna, that's all it requires. You don't have to do anything. And who can become a leader? Who can become a sannyasi? Who can become grahastha? Because there was conflicts coming up with grahasthas and sannyasis. So many conflicts came, and how Prabhupada resolved it. Okay, this is the whole chapter summarizing what all we have. Now I'll go to individual details of what conflict, and at least some of them, there are many of them, at least some of them I can highlight, and see how that we can apply. Because one of the Radhika Raman's Prabhu's lectures, I heard, any lecture you give, any lecture you hear, the outcome of that lecture is, oh, yeah, it was such a nice class. Wow, wonderful class, Prabhu. We appreciate them. And we will hear them nicely. Okay, thank you so much. After that, go to the next class. Oh, very nice class, Prabhu. Yes, I wonderfully said. There are so many points you said. That's great. But what is that outcome of it? We have to apply in our lives day to day. In that way, whatever the Srimad Bhagavatam says, that is the real Bhagavata. But Srimad Bhagavatam is telling us to become, how to become. It's not just a book Bhagavatam, and he is also teaching us how to become a person Bhagavatam, right? Of course, I'm not there. We are not there yet, but we are pure. It is helping us to understand how to become, how to apply in our lives. So from here in this chapter, this unifying ISKCON chapter is not just me or you. This is for the whole world, how GBC has to act, how to discuss, what has to come up, and how to apply in the whole spiritual life in temples and individually. Okay. Now I will go to a few examples here and what were the issues and so on and so forth. One of them, he says that Prabhupada saw the progress in this movement wonderfully, successful phenomenon, proof of a direct mercy of Lord Chaitanya upon his humble efforts. So he saw that, wow, this is how much ever he has done. Krishna fulfilled, Lord Chaitanya fulfilled his desire. And ISKCON was his service to his Guru Maharaj, and now disciples should maintain it and increase it as their service to their spiritual master. That was his agenda. See, he's telling ISKCON was his service to his Guru Maharaj, and now his disciples should maintain it and increase it as their service to their spiritual master. That is his main thing. And he said he wanted to see 108 flourishing temples before his departure from the world. So keeping those temples alive was to work for his sincere followers. And he wrote to his GBC representative for Australia. So when Prabhupada was sitting in Vrindavan, he used to get mails and he has to address. I don't know how he really managed. So one point came to my mind when I was thinking about how Prabhupada was managing. When Srila Prabhupada, when a dear Guru Maharaj or a spiritual master gives an instructions to his disciple, he is not just giving an instruction to disciple, like Prabhupada gave an instruction to Malti Madhji and Shyam Sundar Prabhu to go to UK and start a center and preaching center and preach there. They didn't know anything about it, but they just took it an instruction and they went to the west. Sorry, they went to, from US, they went to east, towards east to UK. But how did they really do it? No idea, because they were all very young. I can see even when Jayapatak, His Holiness Jayapatak Maharaj came to Mayapur, he was in 20s. And how he made that whole city of Mayapur, whole thing of Mayapur, today's Mayapur, how it has been established, and earlier how it was. And he has taken that so much responsibility and did it so much, just like so many Prabhupada disciples have done many things like that. So I was thinking, how is it really possible? The matter is, when the instruction comes from spiritual master, it also comes with an empowerment. It is not that I do it myself. I cannot do it anyway. So it has to come from an empowerment of spiritual master, that empower, because spiritual master gives an instruction, he empowers everyone, whoever he instructs. And that empowerment, basically, because of that empowerment, is that even though I'm doing it, I can think that I am an instrument, but because of spiritual master mercy, I'm able to do it, right? Even we say mukam karoti vachalam, right? That particular shloka, what are we? Even the layman can, even the blind or the layman, they can speak, they can understand, they can give the verses to and preach. It's difficult to understand what it is, but it, no matter what, when we sit on Vyasasana, when we preach, how it comes, it is all Krishna speaking through us. If you're really surrendered, maybe Prabhupada can, and the spiritual master or Prabhupada can speak through us. Similarly, when Prabhupada gives an instruction, it comes through that empowerment all the way from descending mercy and gives that empowerment to manage things. So now the whole scenario here is the managing issues. And now he says, Prabhupada, I'll read a few of them paragraphs here. He says that all temples in Melbourne, London, Paris, Bombay, all are very nice. Everything is very bright and brilliant. The deity is proof for a sincere service. It is the duty of a GBC now to maintain this. Their duty is to enthuse them and maintain. See, Prabhupada has established, to open everything is done. Now he's telling GBC has to take care of it. And, and think about it. And one important thing Prabhupada highlights is problems were inevitable for a preacher of Krishna consciousness. Many sadhus preferred, because the preaching is not easy, and many of the sadhus, they prefer to stay in a holy place rather than come and preach. I remember even in Madhva Sampradaya, one of the Puttigeshri, there is so many mutts in Udupi. Puttigeshri is one of the mutt. And Sugunendra Tirtha, he was one of them who first time came out of India to preach to the Western world. And you know what was the fate? Even though he came out to preach to the Western world, after he went back, why did he come? Basically, there is a paryaya, that means out of 7 mutts, 1 mutt is responsible for certain years, 2 years or 3 years in Udupi for the deity worship. So out of 7 mutts, 1 mutt will take care of the deity services, deity worship services for certain years. And that particular year, Puttigeshri mutt, there was one Swamiji, and he asked, in fact, instead of he sitting in Udupi, he came all the way to Western world, and he started preaching, getting support, and he did so many things. But you know, the fate was, the moment he went back, in the scriptures, based on Madhva philosophy, the person who crosses 7 oceans is not eligible for deity worship. How sad it is, right? That person, that Swamiji who came, he was not able to do worship. On behalf of him, somebody did it, but he was there to instruct him. See, this is very difficult. And how that was based on some sampradaya. Madhva, of course, we are all coming from the Brahma Madhva. Of course, our roots are in Madhva, but ours is Gaudiya Sampradaya. So how difficult, some people say, just sit in one place and do your kirtan, and you don't have to go anywhere. See how, but Prabhupada, he would have just sat in Radha Damodar temple, and he was completely blissful, and then, you know, preach. I don't have to preach. He is liberated. No, he is he is an Atma Rama, and he was very blissful, and whatever he wants to write a books there, okay, I will write a books, and he used to sit and write a book. But why did he come to Western world? To uplift the fallen conditioned souls. And now he says that, in fact, the preaching is not an easy thing. But some people don't prefer to preach because they want to sit in one place. But what did Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and other acharyas in Sampradaya of Lord Chaitanya? They were concerned. Why were they preaching? What is the main intention of preaching? Because they were concerned about the conditioned souls. How can we uplift these conditioned souls and make them go back to God? That is the kind of a nature of Lord Chaitanya. That's why he appeared, right? And we are all the followers of Rupanugas. We are all Rupanugas. And that means Prabhupada, his main intention is to uplift and preach. And during preaching, there will be problems. We have to just tolerate it. And the way he took it is, think about how many problems will come, right? And now, number one is financial needs. Even in preaching, most important is financial. If you don't have money to do anything, you cannot even buy the books, distribute the books, go from one place to other, transportation, and then the national and local government restrictions. Even if I want to do in my own area, I need to get a permission from the local authorities. Even if I want to go to the some park, I have to get a permission from the park department, whoever it is, so that I can have a slot to do a kirtan. Sometimes we go for an MSF, right? Monthly Sankirtan programs. Even for that, we need anything for that. So that's all preaching again. So, and then on the top of it, there are so many demonic enemies who are against our movement. And I have seen many slogans with someone in Russia. We have seen that they come up with their Sankirtan party. Some other group will come back. Lord Jesus is the great. There are so many Orthodox Christians. They were on the streets. We have seen how many objections all over the world like this. In Russia, They were all jailed. How much it's a big court cases. It's not an ordinary task. And Prabhupada is telling we have to be tolerant. And how many people gave up their lives, even in the, they went to jail, and some of them even, they passed away because of the torture, whatever happened in Russia. There are so many incidents like that. And Prabhupada, as our Godfather, right, how much he tolerated and how much he was compassionate. And on the top of it, so much he indicates that Western culture was still, even today, India when Prabhupada tried to do the preaching back to God at Max, and nobody was interested, right? And then when he came to America and he took all these disciples back to back to Bombay or some India, they were like a white elephants, and people started following because people were attracted to more of Western culture. And now Prabhupada had one challenge, that even though all the Western devotees were there, Western disciples were there, they were from their old memories of Western way of enjoying was still there. That means the intoxication and illicit sex. They were all, many were hippies. They had intoxication and addiction and so on and so forth. So Prabhupada had faced, and he has to handle them, and then how to inspire them. So many problems he had. But how he handled, my goodness, it's not an easy task. And so finally, he said, GBC, he has to handle one after the other. And end of the day, Prabhupada said, let this go to GBC. Please, I am done with, I have to do the translation on these various books on Srimad Bhagavatam. So this will be the responsibility of GBC. So that's how it boils down. And finally, on the 1975, little later, right? That year, Prabhupada goes to Mayapur, and there, when he goes to Mayapur for the Gaura Purnima festival, all the sannyasis, there were so many sannyasis, and so many, and the invitation was given to so many people in Calcutta area, Mayapur area, that the big pandal program, the pandal was, of course, they have built so many pandal programs in Mayapur, and that's so much advertisement in West Bengal, to inviting devotees and people to the Mayapur for the Gaura Purnima festival, because so many Bengalis know about Lord Chaitanya anyway. So they were all attracted. And there, the first thing what he did was, I was wondering how today, recently, I just want to mention this. Our Devakinandan Prabhu, he's from Bombay. He is our global minister. Maybe most of you know. Global minister came, and recently he presented what's going on in Mayapur today. In Mayapur, there is Ganges, right? Prabhupada Ghat. And there was a permission which has been granted from the government that Prabhupada's Ghat will be completely converted into, which is the Namami Ganga project. And they are going to build a massive park, and such a kind of not a resort, but completely park, so beautiful park, they're going to build it. And Devakinandan Prabhu presented to us that all the big shots of India, including our Adani, right? He is one of the top richest man in the Asia today, right? Third largest, I believe, in world. He is also in the team of in the committee of this building the Mayapur city. So why am I mentioning this is, when Devakinandan Prabhu, he gave us a plan, and see, this is the Mayapur city, this is what they're going to build, and this is the whole plan, how the airport has to be, how everything. He was giving us a description of what they're doing. Then I thought, yes, there might be a plan, but all the devotees now, they are doing in a different way. But I didn't know, because maybe I would have heard, I have not heard, because I did not read many of the Prabhupada. Even if I read also, I may not remember. But now Prabhupada, even sitting in Mayapur, he sends a letter to the authorities. He wrote a letter to authorities that he gave a plan of what Mayapur is, because Mayapur was small that time, that the temple was small. And his main intention is to buy more land, acquire more land, expand the mission, expand the land there, and then bring devotees, construct the temple. And he gave the whole scenario of that, such a nice, beautiful explanation of what Prabhupada wrote. In fact, he, one second, let me see, what was the person? Okay, Surabhi, he asked one day, he was sitting in Mayapur, and he said, he instructed one of the disciples, his Surabhi, it says Surabhi, right? Maybe it's Mataji or Prabhu, I'm not sure, but he instructed, and Surabhi, he or she, I'm not sure, but again, Surabhi made a very nice plan of the Mayapur city. Showing up in that Mayapur city, it came up with the plan of the whole Mayapur city, and how many schools, airport, and then how the temple has to be, including the Vedic planetarium. That will be the world's largest. And Prabhupada had said that should have like 30 floors. And he had that vision. And he said in that letter, this is what we are going to do. And so we require land. So he requested the authorities, send the West Bengal authorities a letter description of everything, what's happening today. He described many things about Mayapur, including the Vedic planetarium, how many stories of Vedic planetarium, how it will be there, so many exhibits in the facility of Mayapur, and how the city can be planned. And then one fine day, Surabhi comes back with that big, massive plan. Prabhupada was seeing that, becomes so very, very blissful. And he put everything in this, and he told the devotees to make a major, because this was just a plan on the paper. And they said, get it done nicely, and so that we can give it to the authorities, so that we project it. So this was today's Mayapur. What Vedic planetarium is not, as we all know, this is Prabhupada's vision. But Prabhupada, with Surabhi's help, had already planned how it should, how many stories has to be, how the dome should be. It is already been described in this chapter. I was amazed. I was thinking, wow, I didn't even know that, how Prabhupada had put everything in place, even in this particular, during his regime in 1975. It's a description of how it has to be, right? So then I was comparing what Devakinandan Prabhu gave us, the whole city plan, how the airport, how the hotels, how this, that, how the accommodation can be planned. Even today, how many, think about, initially there were only few, because even before building the temple in Mayapur, Prabhupada instructed to build the ashram, basically for accommodation for the people who can, the devotees who can come and stay. Then he built the Mayapur Chandrodaya Mandir, right? Because initially it was only a hut, and the Prabhupada was, main intention was to do a devotee care, how he has to be comfortable. I remember always Vaisheshika Prabhu does the same thing in his, even if I go there and sit there, we all say, hey, are you comfortable? The temperature is okay for you guys? Okay, if there is a very cold, make it warm, something like that, right? So that's how Prabhupada had planned so many things. And even during his regime, in that in 1975 itself, and that was presented to acquire more land, for permission to the more land, to get more land. So that's how they got it. And anyway, that one after, and that was the one of the initial when he went to Mayapur. Even there was some time, I think he went a week or a couple of weeks before the festival, and so many people came with so many issues and conflicts. And one main conflict was the sannyasis and grahasthas. Okay. I can highlight. I think we have another. I don't know how much time I have, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Another 20 minutes, Prabhu.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. So, because I'm speaking, I don't know the time. Now he comes. There was one main issue which comes up with there was between the sannyasis and grahasthas, and how Prabhupada resolved it. This chapter is a lot of explanation, but it's difficult for me to summarize everything within 1 hour. But I can at least boil down some of them, and then I'll tell you. I will highlight how Prabhupada had, solved this issue. One was, I'll read one thing here. Devotees crowded around closely as possible. There was an important point. Here it says, Pusta Krishna. He's saying that sometimes the brahmacharis and even the sannyasi may have strong aversion to association with women and householder life. But sometimes the grahasthas will criticize the sannyasis and brahmacharis and say, this fanaticism. The grahasthas say that this is just as bad as the enjoying spirit, because a sannyasi is meditating on the same thing, except that is averse to it. So Bhagavata Dasa's question is it better to be neutral or to be averse? Prabhupada explains, these are all fanaticism. Real unity is in advancing Krishna consciousness. Kalau nasteva 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 gatiranyata. In Kali Yuga, we can strictly follow. Neither I can strictly follow. If I criticize you, if you criticize me, then we go far away from our real life of Krishna consciousness. So what is the correct way? And then somebody asked again, so is it a correct way to say that if you are not Krishna conscious, then it is not the grahastha problem, it would be some other problem? So what's happening was, there were various temples and there were grahasthas, and sannyasis were kind of, that time they say sannyasis were superior, brahmacharis are better, but grahasthas are attached to their family life. And then there was what to do with the women and people. That time there were so many women with children, no husband. What to do for them? And the GBC meeting, when Prabhupada said, go ahead, this is your GBC responsibility, I will be there, but this is the GBC responsibility. You can discuss and resolve and come up with the resolutions. And what they do, all the GBCs, they have the Prabhupada now was not in a meeting, but all the GBCs, they will discuss the whole day. They will come up with the resolution and come and read to Srila Prabhupada by end of the day. This is what the resolution is. And there, even in the resolutions, they said grahasthas should have, they cannot live in the temples, because some of them were coming and living in the temples. And they said, no, we cannot, you cannot leave. So the resolution was, women and children, they are not supposed to be, they are also living in the temple. And there was objections from sannyasis. How can, because sannyasis were, there is a lot of attraction with a man and a woman. And then they were telling women and children should not be in the temple. They should be outside. And then the grahastha should not live in the temple. They should be outside. And Prabhupada and there are Tamal Krishna Maharaj and all others, they come up with many solutions and then said, women and children should be in the farm community with and they should manage that, and then the grahastha should manage those communities, and women and children should take shelter of the grahasthas who are there, and then they can have in the farm community. And on the main responsibility of the sannyasis is to preach. And one challenging question came in was, one main important thing came was in Radha Damodar party. Maybe people know, all of you know that what Radha Damodar party, it was in St. Louis, I believe. Maybe it was headquartered in St. Louis, if I'm not wrong. And actually the lead was Tamal Krishna Maharaj that time for the Radha Damodar party, bus party. They used to have they used to go in a bus in different places all over the country and then distribute books and so forth. So one point of time, what happened was the sannyasis were preaching in such a way that there were, see, each temple has their own book distributors, correct? And how are the temple managing? The temples were managing based on the book distribution money, and somehow they were managing temple. And there were some grahasthas who were also managers to take care of the few things. But now the temple authorities, the temple presidents comes up and complains that these Radha Damodar party sannyasis, they are coming, they're preaching, and they're taking away all our brahmacharis from the temple for their own preaching. And because of them, they are they are basically stealing them away. Because the moment they come and inspire them, the way they preach is brahmachari get attracted, because they're telling you should not stay with the grahasthas, you have to do this, and they get attracted to sannyasis and they'll walk away from the temple. And because of that, there was a financial issues in the temple, and it is nobody is there to preach in the temple also, and also there is a financial need issues. And temple presidents complained so many things. And anyway, there were hundreds and thousands. That particular festival, there were almost 100,000 devotees who came all over Bengal and other places and all the countries, including all the 108 temples. So they all came. They all came in the buses and the flight and so on and so forth. So then finally, this meeting, when whatever the GBC resolution happened, the temple presidents came to know, and they were not happy with the decision of how the women and children has to be in the separate community, and the grahastha should not in the temple, and I don't know what to do. That was and then they were, and in fact, sannyasis were telling Srila Prabhupada that Prabhupada, this is all based on your instruction that this has to be like this, otherwise there is a lot of illicit sex going on. Prabhupada was always telling, Prabhupada in fact insisted the best thing is to become a sannyasi, the brahmachari, and then become sannyasi. But people who are not able to, who are attracted to the opposite sex, maybe there is a license for them to become grahasthas. Otherwise, the main thing, because the moment you become grahasthas, there is a lot more to be taken care in your life, and so many responsibilities. So the best is grahasthas and sannyasis. So that was the one Prabhupada gave this. But what happened was, some of the sannyasis took that advantage and say they were kind of degrading grahasthas completely. Oh, this is not right. So we are superior. Grahasthas, they don't know they don't have any knowledge on this. And they were, and then especially women and children, and then the temple presidents were very furious. There were a lot of conflicts. They came and they did not understand. They did not accept the decisions of the GBC. And finally, Prabhupada told Jai Advaita Swami, today he is Maharaj, at that time he was Brahmachari. And he told Jai Advaita Maharaj that time, and Jai Advaita Maharaj finally came to know that it is basically what sannyasis were doing was they were preaching, and they're telling, oh, this grahasthas are illicit sex and grahasthas and marriage, weddings, all this, so many things. It is just a word they're talking, but that's not the issue. The issue is sannyasis are inspiring these brahmacharis and taking them away so that they can do more preaching, more book distribution, and get more money. That was kind of thing going on that time. And then Prabhupada understood, everybody understood, and Prabhupada comes up with the final solution that, let me read this. Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi Shudre Kena Nai Ei Krishna Tattva Veta Say Guru Hai. It says whether one is Brahmana, a sannyasi, or a Sudra, regardless of what he is, he can become a spiritual master if he knows the science of Krishna. Prabhupada, and there were so many conflicts, which I don't want to get into many things, but I will summarize this. Prabhupada comes up with this particular shloka and he says, whoever knows the science of Krishna can even become the spiritual master. Because there was objections. How can Grahasthas become a leader? How can they become spiritual master? That was the conflicts going on, right? And Prabhupada finally, he comes up with this nectar, because he was listening to every, see, the leader, the main thing is a leader. Sometimes what we do as a leader, so many people come with their issues. What happens, sometimes the leader will come to a kind of a dictatorship and he says, hey, do this is what is, whatever I say, just do it. But that's not the way. Prabhupada was quietly listening to the Grahasthas, quietly listening to temple presidents. He was also listening to the sannyasis and brahmacharis. He was completely listening. He did not say any word. Yes, I understand. Let me think, He was just tolerant, asking, taking all those questions. But finally, he says this verse. Whether you are a grahastha, whether you are a sannyasi, whether you are brahmachari, doesn't matter. Anybody can become a spiritual leader. Anybody can become a spiritual master if you know the science of Krishna. That is what the whole chapter's nectar was hidden in this verse. That's why I'm just highlighting this. Even though they are niyamagraha, right? Prabhupada said niyamas are there, regulative principles are there based on the nectar of instruction. It says niyamagraha is not good. Niyama means regulative principles, and agraha means not to accept. Agraha means the opposite. Agraha means not to accept. You see, agraha and agraha. Niyama, what happens is niyama graha. It says agraha means not to accept. Agraha means the opposite, too eager to accept the regulative principles. So now what's happening is, even though we know niyama graha, we are thinking about regulative principles accept. But we are telling niyama agraha. Right? Prabhupada very clearly explains that agraha means not to accept. People who are thinking that not to accept these regulative principles, they may not go forward in this Krishna consciousness. People who are very binded and then determined to follow the regulative principle, which is agraha, niyama, graha, then they are eligible to advance in Krishna consciousness. The only way is to kirtaniya sadhari. Things will automatically get adjusted. That's what Srila Prabhupada said. So now, based on all this, Prabhupada gave that all the sannyasis and temple, and then they said it doesn't matter whether the woman or a grahastha, doesn't matter, they can become anything, spiritual leader, as long as they are practicing Krishna consciousness, chanting 16 rounds, follow the regulative principles. That Krishna inside the heart will inspire and guide us to become a nice devotee. Right? Now, I'll just highlight this. For out of 64 qualities, I was thinking how does this happen, right? We'll say chant Hare Krishna, everything will happen, right? And I was thinking why Prabhupada gave his final instruction on this particular verse. Then I was going back to the chapters of first canto chapter 1 to 3. In the Prabha, which is 1:3:28, which is the supremacy of Lordship, Supreme Personality. What is that? Prabhasha Sutra. It has been explained that there are 64 qualities of Krishna, which is in full with Krishna. And in Vishnu Tattva, there are 93% of that 64 qualities. And in the Lord Shiva, it is 84% of that 64 qualities. And living in it is Jivas have 78% of 64 qualities, which Lord Brahma has completely 78%. And all the Jivas like us and all of us, we have only part of that 78%. We don't have that 64 quality. We all have the quality, but it's very, very minimal, very minute. And only we have that minimum of that 64 qualities in place. And then that particular 1.3.28, which is Ete Chamsha Prakala Kumsa, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, Indrari Vyakulam Lokam, what is that? Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. That's what the verse is. It says that a person who has a devotee or a person who has that 78% in full, then he will be eligible to go back to Godhead. Now, why Prabhupada is telling this 4 regulative principles, chanting 16 rounds and Sada Kirtaniya Sadahari, this will actually purify the heart. Cheto Darpana Marjan will happen. For that, we all know Trunada Pesunichana is very important. Humility is very important. But how do you even get humility? By just cleaning up our heart. The humility also will develop. And after all this, the more of Cheto Darpana Marjanam, then we will develop that 78% in full, and then we will be eligible to go back to Godhead, right? That's the whole thing, what Prabhupada is insisting. And I'm connecting back to that verse of 1 to 3, that Jete Chamsakala Pumsa here. How it is being connected, how Prabhupada is insisting. So now I'll summarize quickly in 2 minutes. Since there were many management issues, Prabhupada all alone was managing, but he said that it is not a one-man show. And in fact, he framed the GBC, and most of the issues and conflicts were directed to GBC. And every year, the GBC will have that conflicts in place in a meeting for several days, and they will come up with the resolutions, and that resolution will be final. And then that whole year, they will have that in place with whatever the resolutions before, whatever we have done, that will follow with also the new conflict and new resolution that will be in place. And that goes on every year, and new things will come up every year. And that time, that during that 1975, the issue was with the Grahasthas and the Sannyasis and Brahmacharis and so forth. And Prabhupada resolved it very nicely with this particular shloka of, if you know the science of Krishna, anybody can become spiritual master, anybody can become leader. And in that way, everybody will be cooperative each other. And in that way, what is it? We are not the, see, we know this verse, Naham Vipro na Chanarapatir Napi Vaishyo na Sudro Naham Varnicha Gurahapatir Namanasto Yatirva Kintu Prodya Nikila Paramananda Prunamratebhir Gopi Bharata Pada Kamalayor Dasa Dasanu Dasa. What does that mean? I am not a Vaishya, I am not a Sudra, I am not a Brahmana, I am not a Sannyasi, I am not so and so, whatever it is, but I am the eternal servant of Krishna. Dasan. What is that? I want to become a Dasa of Krishna. So that means when we have, there is a hierarchy built, even in the spiritual world, there is a hierarchy. Krishna, Radharani, Gopikas, Sakis and Manjaris and whatnot. The same way we have our own, and Prabhupada has done the same thing, GBCs, sannyasis, their leaders and temple presidents, and there is a, now it is called a governing body. What is that called? For every region, there is a secretary or something, zonal supervisor. And for each zone, there is a supervisor. Even though there is a GBC, there is a zonal supervisor, and then under them, there are temple presidents. And then, so what we do is we serve our near higher-ups, and that will, end of the day, it will serve Krishna, right? So that's how Krishna and Prabhupada has framed in 1935 the GBC to the issue, conflict resolutions, everything was done very nicely. And we are today, after 46 years, see how Prabhupada had managed to so nicely all the temples of ISKCON. And not only that, 108 temples, now it has multiplied to 600, 700 temples all over the world because of the Prabhupada's mercy, instruction, empowerment to all his disciples. Such a nice and beautiful. And I think I will stop here. Thank you so much for tolerating me, being patient. I don't know what all I spoke. Please forgive me if I have spoken something wrong. And if I am concocted something, please forgive me. But I think I'll stop here. And Srila Prabhupada, lilamrta, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Jai. Hari Hari Bol Prabhu. All glories to Balaram Prabhu. It's really, really wonderful, Prabhu, the summary. And we can understand how meticulously Srila Prabhupada planned like 50 years back, how he designed, what is his vision, we can see from all these projects, Prabhu, and how he systematically also has a Varnashrama also.
Yes.
And the rules and regulations we have to follow. Very nice, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for taking your time and coming on the call and giving the detailed summary of this chapter, Prabhu. Prabhu, I have a question, Prabhu, not to lilamrta, but I see your picture, Prabhu, the back side. What is Krishna holding in his hand, Prabhu? What is it?
He has that, Mataji, if you look at, there is a supportive, Krishna always holds that club. It's not a club, it's kind of a club. He always holds it. When he goes to the, it's like a stick. We normally, when he goes as a covered boy, he normally carries that. I don't know the name of it, but even in our temple, we have that supportive. So that's what it is. This is coming from Sri Sampradaya somewhere. I took it from South Indian temple. So
yeah, like I see that, Prabhu. The decoration of Lord Krishna resembles more of Sri Sampradaya. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Dear devotees, anybody would like to share their realizations for Prabhuji's class?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a beautiful class. It was so natural. I mean, very simple to understand. You are added so many realizations from Srimad Bhagavatam, and you have told how Srila Prabhupada, mood of Srila Prabhupada, we can easily understood from your class, Prabhuji. It was so, so nice. And also you were talking one important point about how each class, I'm again saying your class is very nice, and I don't know if I'm going to apply whatever you taught me, but that was very interesting point to know today, that we always glorify each and every class, but how much I'm applying. But maybe by all devotees' blessings and Krishna's blessings, by always hearing, one day I'll apply it. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for such a beautiful class. Every time we hear your glorification of each and every speaker on the call, and questions that you ask to speakers are very, very nice, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
I don't know, Mataji. I'm trying my best. I don't know. Maybe Krishna is opening my heart slowly. Hope with all your blessings, at least I will practice. Even I'm talking, but I may not be practicing also. So I have to apply myself first. Pray for me. But at least whatever I have, at least I'll learn. But you see, there is one in the final, in the chapter, finally, Prabhupada, in one of the sentences, he says, nobody is qualified, right? And how can I preach? That was one of the questions. And Prabhupada said, you don't have to be qualified. What you do is just repeat what Krishna said as it is. So that means whatever we hear from our seniors, whatever we hear from Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj and Guru Vargas, we just repeat them. Even though we don't have qualification, even if we just repeat them, yes, I am not following, but just repeating them, it will come to my heart, say, my God, register in my heart. You know what, Balaram Prasad, you said that you are not following. That will be there. That guilt will be there. Because of that guilt, you slowly start working on it. So that's what application is. Application won't come just like this. Oh, let me go apply. Okay, it is not like homework. Okay, I have given this assignment, I'll do my homework. That's not going to happen in a day. that guilt has to be there in our heart, that even though I am speaking, I'm not following. It takes years. Slowly and steadily, when we are consistently, this is what it is, when we are consistently doing, then Krishna will reveal in our heart and give us that intelligence to apply in our lives. You know, it's not an easy thing. That's what even my experience. Even though I know I say, but I'll do it again and again. Like we have seen how Ajamil's pastime, my God, it's mind blowing. Is like elephant goes to the shower and comes back and put again the sand, right? We know that this happens. We normally, what's happening right now, we are still like a baby trying to crawl, trying to get up, and walk few, and then again fall down, again walk for a few steps, again fall down. So I am still in that stage. I feel like that. One day, if the Krishnas inspire me, I know that guilt is the main thing. I have to take that guilt. Yes, I should not do it. I'd not do it. Then slowly walk with that and apply in my life. So it might take some time. It's not like it might take a few days, a few years, a few lifetimes. We never know. At least strive for that, think about it, pray for that, and Krishna can, by Guru Maharaj's mercy, Krishna's mercy, it might happen. Anyway, thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Such a beautiful class, and it was just flowing so nicely. So beautifully you spoke. And I really liked a few things you said. One is about towards the end, you were talking about chanting.
Yeah.
So of chanting is to actually purify the heart and come to that level. And we are not really, even if a perfected human being is still, we are in a stage where we just have some minute portion of that 78%. I mean, that's how you describe, which
Yes.
is very true. And this process of chanting actually helps us to purify ourselves and come to that stage. And it's a gradual process. Really
Yes.
like that, Prabhu. And also the other point that you made, that Srila Prabhupada said, yes, everyone can be a leader as long as they are following what has been given, like the the standard.
Once he knows the signs of
Krishna, once he knows the signs of Krishna.
See, I have my experiences and other devotee experiences. I'll share something.
Yeah.
When we were thinking, how is 75%? What is this quality, right? I did not understand earlier. Then I really started thinking, how is this possible? Sometimes when you are in deep chanting, of course, I'm not chanting in this mala. What I'm talking about, sitting in the satsang, and somebody is giving a very nice kirtan with a mood, like Badahari Prabhu and so many sannyasis and Bibi Govinda Maharaj, Sadhu Sangha, right? Go sit there. Because of their prayerful mood, our heart is getting melted, right? When, say, suppose Indradumna Maharaj is giving such a kirtan, and everybody jumps and roll, and why? Because his prayer, it is not like prayerful mood, it was a jolly mood. And that's why when he is singing for Krishna, he is singing in such a jolly ecstasy mood. And then all the devotees who are following him, everybody jump and roll, right? And when you see Badahari Prabhu, people just sit and cry. They don't jump and run behind. You understand what I mean? Yes. So you're getting that glimpses. You're getting that glimpses because of the other person. That is Sadhu Sangha, right? So that means the quality is there, imbibe in us. Only thing is it's covered. So when the other devotees influence, when their prayers, their influence come on us, that is why we have to sit in Sadhu Sangha. Then what happens is our heart slowly melts. For example, I was thinking about this. When you listen to some Bollywood songs or Hollywood songs or whatever, such a nice, beautiful song. Sometimes I've seen people cry, oh my God, such a beautiful song, they cry. So they might melt your heart, but they will not transform your heart. But Kirtan, what happens is, it not only melts your heart, but transforms your heart, right? And then you will feel that glimpse of, oh my God, you will feel some kind of vision. For example, Dhruva Maharaj saw Paramatma in his heart, and then he opened his eye, Paramatma was right in front of him, right? Like that, we will get glimpses, a shadow of it, glimpses once in a while. That means Krishna is showing you, hey, this is what it is. That means that quality is there. Because of that quality, Krishna is showing you some glimpses, just in a fraction, but that is not consistent. That's how it is. So that means it is there, and Krishna is telling, please keep going it, keep doing it, and one day you will get there, right? So this is what my realization on this, how this 78% might be there in us, but it not in full. But see, that is what quality of Krishna. This, when all these qualities come in, that means we are not Mayavadis or Brahmavadis say I become God. I am not God, but at least the qualities I imbibe, I will become a human being, proper human being, first of all, and then become a nice servant of Krishna. This is my understanding, Mataji.
Very nice. Very nicely said, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu, for your association. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, कोटि कोटि दंडवत प्रणाम। श्रील प्रभुपाद से की जय, गोपीनाथ की जय। प्रभु जी, last Friday also, up to last minute I am hearing Srila Prabhupada Amrita when entering for surgery, and the tears is not stopped, Prabhu ji. And today class is like how much hard time Srila Prabhupada is passed, and to give us a Krishna conscious, everything is ready for us. Prabhuji, thank you very much for taking to give us a Krishna conscious and all the pastimes, and very practically you teach us Srila Prabhupada Amrita today. Hari Hari Gauranga. Today also we are in a hospital and we hearing your class. Koti Koti Dandvat Pranam to you, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Gopinath ki jai, Srila Prabhupada Amrita ki jai.
Hope everything is okay, Mataji. We'll pray for your recovery. Whoever.
Yes, Prabhuji, it's a knee surgery, and it's the after 1 week we have to go again. It's after surgery, it's too hard. For first 2 weeks is too hard, but whenever I feel low, I just started to read Srila Prabhupada Amrita and get energy, Prabhuji. Hari Hari Gauranga, Koti Koti Dandvat Pranam.
We'll pray, Mataji. Everything goes well for your recovery or whatever. Hare Krishna. Narsingh Dev ki jai. Okay, anything else? Otherwise, we can stop here.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Anybody would like to share for Prabhuji's summary session? Or else we can end the class today. Prabhuji, before ending, do you have some time, Prabhu? I have one more question. Can I ask?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. Prabhu, this is like general question, not pertaining to lilamrta. So my question is, we see tilak on Lord Krishna's face also. So a tilak represents, like we devotees keep, like it's the lotus feet of Krishna and the Tulasi Maharani, the leaf, on the nose we keep. So we represent our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya by keeping the tilak.
Right.
So my question is, Lord Krishna also keep the same tilak. So how to understand, Prabhu?
Yeah, it's difficult to understand. I also have many questions like this. I don't know what to say, but I can tell you, Krishna is just my concoction. It might not be real. Rather, Krishna, even though we are taking the lotus feet of Krishna on our head, you know what Krishna is doing? Krishna says, I am the servant of Radharani. And he, right? We have the pastimes that Krishna holds the lotus feet of Radharani. And he said, you are everything for me. Right? So that means he is actually depending on devotees. That doesn't mean the lotus feet of devotees on his head, but I'm just telling that mood, how Krishna is completely surrendered to Radharani. And if you really look at it, without Radharani, Krishna may not survive. So that means his devotee, he cannot survive without the devotees. So that's how the connection between the Krishna and devotees. I'm not telling about he is putting the lotus feet of a devotee on his head, but I'm just giving a general principle of he is completely surrendered to Radharani. And actually, who is the first disciple of Radharani? Is Krishna. So this is what I heard from Hari Parshad Prabhu's one of the lectures, that what is it called? Servant of Radharani, something like that. I forgot that title of the lecture, but we are all thinking about, every day we are thinking about the seva anyway danadaro sakirani sakiranu koro seva adhikara diya da koro nija dasi. So whether is a person, where is a Prabhu or a Mataji, if even a brahmachari, it doesn't matter, right? We are all thinking, make me a dasi, make me a dasi, make me a dasi. Because that dasi means we are actually becoming a dasi of Tulsi Maharani, and Tulsi Maharani is this dasi of Radharani. And in that way, we all become dasi of Radharani and dasi of Krishna. But Krishna says, he wants to become a dasi of Radharani. That is his mood. So I don't know the exact meaning of why he's putting his tilak on his head. I'm just giving you the scenario, understanding what Krishna is. He is always surrendered. I am surrendered to Krishna, but Krishna is surrendered to devotees. Right? Otherwise, how Mother Yashoda can take a stick and start, who in the world can do it? Mother Yashoda having a stick and chasing Krishna. This is a kind of a rasa. It's a mellows and exchanges. And that's what Krishna is exhibiting in his various ways.
Yes, Prabhu, yes, got it. Yeah, as we also say, Lord is like Bhakta Parayana. He surrendered to his devotees. Yeah, correct. Got it, Prabhu.
That's all.
Thank you.
And when Lord is thinking that, we should have come to an understanding what we are. We are thinking because of our false ego, we don't even apply tilak. That means, who am I? I am great. Why should I put tilak? Right? So that means, how surrendered are we? When Krishna is surrendered to his devotee, how surrendered we are is important.
Yeah, nice, Prabhu. Nice. Very nice. Thank you so much, Prabhu. And last question answered also, it's very nice, Prabhu. You said first we have to become a nice human being. Then we can become a good devotee. That is very nice, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for taking your valuable time and coming on the call and giving this wonderful summary and also wonderful question and session, Prabhu. Thank you so much. So if there are no more questions, yes, Mataji, please go ahead. Hare Krishna. Okay, so thank you so much, Prabhu. With your permission and all the permission of the devotees on the call, I would like to end the session. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu vyayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Prabhupada lilamrta ki jai, His Grace Balaram Prabhu ki jai. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu.